so this week we were asked to record some ideas about how to prevent takedowns in a self-defense and sport situation.
Alright, so when you're dealing with your opponent and you're watching him from a distance when he's trying to shoot in, you want to kind of look for like indicators that they're trying to shoot in. So people a lot of times will kind of like fake up here and then drop and then go for the single. Stuff like that, stuff to keep out for. So be ready and work for that. Your knees are going to be very important when somebody's coming in. If you're allowing them to get that kind of space, pin your opponent down this way and to deliver knees. Now, right here, he's going to go for this one, right? So that's kind of a dangerous situation, right? So you have to be pretty aware of what's going on. So being able to like push down and sprawl out, set, and then come in with the knee is very important. So just be kind of mindful of all that kind of stuff. You don't want to look at the eyes or anything ridiculous like that. Don't get fixated on here. It's going to be when they're on shoulders and on their hips, right? I can't shoot in at your knee or your hip without like dropping my shoulders. So you want to kind of keep aware of what's going. Somebody coming down this way, coming down like that, right? But their head's always going to be open, right? They're always going to come in, grabbing for like that, right? So
one other thing to think about is working on your switch knees, because like Aaron said, if the guy goes for this front knee, sometimes if the back knee is not available, if you get this leg here and switch and do the same knee on the front knee, it's gonna be, even if he doesn't grab it, I could switch and come right back up. So getting used to that switch knee off the back leg would probably help you out as well.
yeah.
Plus it'll get some distance away and give you some time to react.
Even from a distance, again, you can kind of implement your shutobuke to kind of try to redirect the head. Head's very important, right? Wherever the head goes, the body's going to follow. So if he's coming in, if I can push this way, remember, wherever you're pushing him, you want to go the opposite way. It's very important. So here, if I can put here, push him off, set to the side, right? But your strike down and push needs to be violent, right? Like you're not playing. If he's coming down, it's not doing, oh, okay, I'm going to catch you, and now I'm going to push him this way. It's when he comes in, it's push, boom, push him off, right? As hard as you can.
Notice how he's going to the angles, because if you try to push someone off facing them straight on, it's going to be whoever's the stronger force, right? That's going to take over. But as I go here and he pushes me to the angle, he's pushing me off to where I have zero base. So I'm following this way towards his gap. So at the same time, he's also moving to that corner as well.
All right, so using your front stance is also very important. If you don't get the ability, if you don't have the ability to sprawl really quickly, if you're able to get in a very strong front stance, to at least get both feet one foot away from the other, so they can't lock up both your legs together, because you're gonna hit the floor pretty hard with that, right? So if you can at least get this here, even if he grabs my leg and tries to lift me up, I can grab under here, pick up my leg myself, and use that to drive down, right? So that's kind of an important thing right here, being able to kick out this way once that grip is there. So if he's here, he's picking it up, I'm gonna creep in here, bring my body in tight, and see I'm pulling, and what you don't want to get is you don't want to get over his back here. I want to put my weight all the way here in front of him, and that means he can't lift me up this way. He'd have to try to drive in and under me. So as long as I'm here and I hold on this way, I can pick up my leg, push it out that way. So getting that long front stance is pretty.
And that looks a lot like something like this from
Yeah.
Kata as well. Kicking back, or even something from that hachi.
That looks very similar to.
Now, if he goes past your knee range and you can't throw knees anymore, and he's already grabbing onto something, his head's on this side, I gotta be aware of where his head is, because that's where I want to go away from. Because if I start walking this way towards his head, that gives him the leverage to take me down towards that direction. So I want to figure out a way to redirect, either with my footwork, pushing his head away, or just using my body weight to get on a different angle as him. So another thing to think about is shooting for the underhooks, because that's gonna prevent his shoulder or his head from connecting to your hip. Because once he's connected to you, then it's gonna be a lot easier for him to manipulate your stance, right? So as he comes in, and I missed the knee, now he's already attached to something, I need to be able to dig under and do this. That's gonna create a gap here so that there's no so that he doesn't connect me with it, right? So even if we're struggling around, I can buy myself some time by shooting for underhooks. I also look at this, a crossface here. Because again, if he uses his head to push me around, if I disconnect his head from my hip, it's gonna be hard for him to push me around as well. So you can see all these movements in katas, right? Doing this, even movements like that you can find in kata itself. So if they even close the distance, now we're in a clinch position. First things first is always be aware of your posture. You always want to be either scooping underneath them or pushing down them underneath you, right? And that's gonna prevent a lot of takedown opportunities for them. So let's say we're here. I'm trying to keep his head down, and all he's gonna try to do is keep his posture up, right? We've done this drill before, and it's gonna prevent anything. Like even if I try to come down, since his posture is up, he can redirect things. He can stay on top of me. He can do a lot of things like that. But it's always being aware of your posture. Very rarely are we like this, because whoever wants to pull is gonna pull the other person down, right? So sometimes it might be like this because we know we have our front foot here that's pushing upward that prevents the pull. So if he tries to pull me here, I'm still going into a front stance or some type of modified stance to have this power leg forward. There's never any situation where you want to be like this, because one pull and you're going to be off balance.
Okay, so if you get in this situation, you're able to have the overhook this way, hook it this way, use your body as a weight on the opponent, and if you can move yourself around like that, you can essentially redirect this guy. If he keeps on going for your leg, you know, using your body weight, and like the thing is like to be aware, right? Like my center is here. If he starts driving into here and I want to put him on the floor, I don't necessarily want him, I don't want to fall right here because he's just gonna grab and push me down, right? So what you're gonna want to do is, if you can turn and actually sit out, that puts all your weight onto him and his shoulder, right? So if you're in that situation where he comes and he gets under, you want to slide out, drive your shoulder down, aim for driving your shoulder down into the mat, and that'll put their head into the floor, which is what you want.
Being able to lean into your opponent at a 45-degree angle and being comfortable with that is probably another very important point to take down defense. So let's even say he takes my back here and has a bear hug around me. First things first, I want to drop my center, right? My posture is still straight, but at the same time, I'm also leaning into him. That way he really can't move me around. From here, you can do a lot of things like fish for this and pull yourself back so that you can take his back or something. But again, it's being comfortable with leaning onto your opponent at a really steep angle, something that's more, that can be frightening at first. But again, we're not doing this where we're both leaning into each other at 45s. It's when I'm at an advantageous part. So if I'm here, it would make sense for me to try to lean, say, take him down this way, or even lean away from me.
And the benefit of that is that your opponent doesn't want to go down, so your opponent is doing all the work to keep himself up. So they're expending way more energy than you, and you're just basically lying a dead weight on top of your opponent.
Yeah, they have to carry your weight.
An important thing from even the application of the overhook, the application of the shituke, all that kind of stuff, the biggest part of that is being able to shift your hips in and out of that situation, right? And that's with any part of like fighting or in sparring or anything like that. If I'm sitting here on his center line, you know, then yeah, once he's at an advantageous situation, he's got me, right? But even if he gets that, if I can at least pull my body out, you know, using your weight against like his single arm, gives you an added benefit. It opens up like the whole entire person that way, right? So anytime that you're in a situation, be it sparring, point fighting, or whatever, if he shoots in, I want to move more laterally than just back. So you kind of have to think that even if it's, whether it's a strike, even if it's a strike, right, moving laterally on your opponent is way more advantageous to you than just moving back, right? If you just move back, whether it's a punch or you're shooting for the leg, I mean, you're still at a disadvantage, right? So that's very important, and shifting your hips in and out of those situations gives you that split second of extra quickness.
One drill you can try is one person trying to take the other person down, maybe at 50%, and all the other person has to do is just redirect by shifting an angle. Think of the hip as a pendulum, and the person attacking is kind of like the end of the string, right? So I'll shoot it on you. I'll try to take you down, and just move your hips side to side and get out of the way, or redirect your angles. So there's no way I can get square with him since his hips are moving so quickly from side to side. It's like I'm constantly trying to follow him and I'm always one step behind. One final thought is try not to strike them when you don't have a solid base. So you always want to think, have your footwork, your foundation set, have your posture good, and then throw whatever you want, your elbows, your strikes, whatever, your knees. But if he's going into me and he already took my center off, I don't want to try to do this because now he has a better chance to get a higher underhook because my elbow's up. He can take me up, whatever, because my hands are up here and they're not down here bracing, right? So don't just automatically think, I gotta strike, because now your center line's off. What you wanna do when he dives in, brace yourself here. Now that you have bought yourself some time, you can find your targets, right? You can strike more advantageously, you could strike to better targets rather than just trying to flow your hands and try to pick whatever is available.
If you are getting taken down, even with the striking thing in mind, if you know it's going to happen, like it's going to happen, right? Like if Michael's got me and I know I'm going to go down, I'm not going to fight it anymore, right? Because if I continue fighting it, basically he's going to get what he wants. So what you got to learn to do, or what I try to do, is fall how I want to fall in a way that's going to be beneficial for me, right? So if I know he's going to take me down that way, I might just choose to fall just a little bit further, a couple more inches, and that gets me him rolling over versus me on my back. You know, and then from there you can kind of work and do something, but it's always kind of good to be aware of like what's happening. You know, you can't fight everything all the time. Sometimes you have to go and kind of flow with it and work to get in a situation that's better for you later, right? So you have to think ahead.